Welcome back. Here's what we're talking about. This segment, the NFL. All things NFL. We've got the Steelers really struggling. The Vikings come from behind. How are they still undefeated? Saints and Giants. Clearly the Saints got the best of that one. The NFC East is definitely not as strong as everybody thought it was.
No, right now they are a lot weaker. I mean, the Redskins definitely are bringing down the rating there, but the Eagles dropped to Oakland. Dallas only 3-2, barely beat Kansas City, and the Giants just got shellacked.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Giants just didn't play well at all.
No, I mean, that was shocking considering how well they had been playing, how good their defense really is. Drew Brees exposed them. I mean, he went 23 for 30 with 369 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he played. Drew Brees is playing out of his mind right now.
This is an amazing season for him. And, I mean, it's ridiculous just quarterbacks in general. He and Manning, Eli and Peyton are having outstanding seasons among all three. And
yeah. And
only
even,
one of those are going to be able to win the
and,
MVP.
And throw Brett Favre in there as well, if you will.
Yeah.
As much as I don't like the guy, I mean, he's playing well. You can't take that away from him. Hell, he's 40 yards. And that one pass he had this weekend, he threw like 60 yards in the air, got a pass interference call. The guy still caught it. It was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, and that set up the game-winning field goal for him.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you got to give Favre some respect. I don't like the guy, but are the Vikings that good, though? I mean, they had the miracle catch against San Francisco and a missed field goal against Baltimore. They take those two away, they're 4-2.
Yeah, but I mean, that's still pretty darn good, especially when you look at there's still 3 teams that haven't won a game.
No, I'm not taking away. A 4-2 would still be. If the Redskins were 4-2 right now, I'd be pretty happy. So don't get me wrong.
Well, that's
because
you're a Redskins fans, and the Redskins are terrible. The Redskins opponents combined record before playing the Redskins 0-15.
Yeah, I know. We didn't take advantage of the schedule. We're going to get into that one later. All right, so
that's the other thing though. The NFC East is playing the AFC West. The NFC East, looking at the beginning of the schedule, legitimately could have gone 16-0 against the AFC West.
People were saying it would have been bad if they went 13-3 against the AFC West. And right now, they already got 2 losses to them.
Yeah, at least. And you got the Broncos, who are now 6-0.
Yeah, 3 losses against the AFC West right now. I mean,
yeah.
They got to win out to make that prediction hold true there.
Which is ridiculous because they, I don't know what's going on. The disparity between the leagues is not what it once was.
No. I mean, right now, the NFC North is stronger than the NFC East and the NFC South. I mean, the NFC East is just barely better than the NFC West.
I don't know about the NFC North, buddy. They still have the Lions up there.
They got the Vikings 6-0, the Bears at 3-2, and the Pack at 4-2.
I don't think the Bears are that good.
All right, well, that's actually my next question about this one. So the Broncos are 6-0 right now.
Right.
And Kyle Orton has a 100 QB rating, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Jay Cutler, 86.9 rating, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 7 picks. Was that a good trade for him or what?
Wait to see who does well at the end of the season. I think both players are playing better in their new cities than they were in their old cities, and I don't think that's a fluke at all. But wait until the Broncos lose a game, because here's what's going to happen. When the Broncos lose a game, everything that was controversial before the season is going to be brought up again.
Oh, no. Obviously, I don't think the Broncos are going to go 16-0, but I think they're probably going to end up being 10-6, which will still make the playoffs, and that'll be very good considering where they started, but it will raise questions. You're predicting
that the Broncos who started 6-0 are going to go 4-6 for the rest of the season?
We'll just see. I'm not sold on the Broncos just yet.
All right. I don't know what you're waiting for.
I mean, yeah, they beat.
Now, granted, I'm not sold on them either, but I think it's mainly those ugly-ass uniforms they've been wearing.
Well, that was bad, but I don't know. Their first 3 victories were not all impressive. Dallas is not very good. No. New England, okay, they are looking good right now.
Speaking of New England,
that was not the Tom Brady we saw against Denver that he played against Tennessee.
What was that?
59-0. Well,
where did that
Brady was only 52
come from?
of those, but still.
Yeah, what, he had 5 in the second quarter?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That was unbelievable.
That was the 2007 Patriots, and I mean.
Now, granted, they're playing the winless Titans. How are the Titans winless?
0-6 right now.
13-3 last year. 0-6.
They have not won a game since Lendale White stomped on the terrible towel.
That's ridiculous. Like, they are, and I don't know if it's a coaching thing or what. I don't think you're going to see Jeff Fisher gone, though, because Jeff Fisher's way too good. He's done way too many things for that organization.
He's done a lot for them, but I believe his only playoff victories came in that season they went to the Super Bowl. He's been a pretty good regular season coach, but he's never been able to really translate that success to the playoffs.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to fire Jeff Fisher.
Now, if I'm the Titans, I don't fire him. I try to bolster. I bench Kerry Collins, which they finally did and put in Vince Young, but I think that was just because they were down 52 points, and Kerry Collins was, 2 for 17 with negative 7 yards?
They need to start Vince Young.
That's what I'm saying. He needs to be the starter. because you need to know what you're going to do next year. And if Jeff Fisher doesn't make that move, then I got to really question what is he doing.
And the Steelers are struggling too. And then this stuff comes out today about Reed, their kicker.
Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, Jeff Reed did not really.
No, he doesn't really strike you as the type of guy who would get like 5 separate tickets for being drunk
and fighting with the police.
Yeah, that was a little odd.
I mean, Sebastian Janikowski, okay, but that's the only kicker I can think of in the NFL that I would be questioning.
Did you see Tomlin's remarks?
No, I did not.
He said, "This is something you have to deal with. I get paid to deal with it, and I get paid well to deal with it." I was like, "Come on, coach, did you really have to throw that in there?" That was a little unnecessary, but hey, whatever. Games this weekend, there's nothing really that jumps out at me.
No, right now I haven't really looked too closely at the schedule. I mean, there's Monday night, Redskins versus Eagles. Here's what I ask. Jim's Zone is 10-12 right now. This season he's lost to Detroit, Kansas City, Carolina, and New York, but nobody really expects him to beat New York. They got Philadelphia this week at home, and then there's the bye week. If he loses, do you think he's back?
I don't know. I mean, you're the guy, Dan Snyder, I think it would be foolish to fire a coach in the middle of the season. I've never, ever agreed with that.
I mean, the only time I've seen it work really was when last season with Singletary. He brought them back to 500, but I think that was an example of a team quitting on Mike Nolan. And Hazlitt had some immediate success after firing Scott Linehan, but I mean, just the Rams.
Yeah, exactly.
That really didn't mean much. I personally, as a fan, don't think they should.
I don't think they should either. And I just don't think they should because it'll mess with the continuity of the team. Granted, the team's continuity obviously isn't that good right now, but I think you really mess with your team if you do that.
No, and the blame, I mean, while Zorn deserves some of this blame, he cannot be shouldering the whole thing right now. And I think that was completely wrong of Vinny Serrato to strip him of play calling duties for a guy that's been calling bingo for the past 5 years.
Yeah, I think it falls back to the players too.
No, I mean, there's definitely players. One of the biggest problems, offensive line. They have 3 starters missing from the beginning of the year. They got Mike Williams, who hasn't played as long as Sherman Lewis hasn't coached. I mean, that is just a patchwork line right now, and that's going to be what's killing him. Because Portis actually had his first 100-yard game this season. There was the benching of Campbell, and Collins came in and played well. Campbell was named today the starter still.
Which I think is the right idea.
Yeah, because at this point, unless something miraculous happens, they're not making the playoffs. So you let Jason Campbell play out the season, and if he impresses you, he's a free agent, then you re-sign him. But if not, you've seen him play, and you let him go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had Colt Brennan on the bench, then maybe you put him in if he's your quarterback of the future. But for right now, Todd Collins is in it, and you're not making the playoffs.
No, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
I think you leave in Zorn and let him run his course.
I mean, I think that's the smart thing to do because you don't want to mess with anything. And maybe Zorn gets it turned around. Maybe he doesn't. I think at the end of the year, though, he's definitely gone.
Unless, barring some miraculous 12-4 record making the playoffs, yes.
Which brings to question, who are they going to get? The names are out there: Cowher, Shanahan,
Mike Holmgren.
You've got to think they're going to get somebody with experience and somebody who's good.
Yeah, but
I don't know if I want to come coach for Washington.
No, not until they have a true GM or president. I mean, I think it's a big problem because they have a good foundation of players, but the problem is you do not want Dan Snyder being your GM right now because Vinny Serrato is just a yes man to whatever Dan Snyder wants. And Cowher's not going to want to come in and not have his final say on things.
No, neither is Shanahan.
Yeah, that's why those two aren't going to come in. Maybe Holmgren, and you make him the GM because that's what he did in Seattle and that's what he did in Green Bay. And he had pretty good success there. But until you do get a true GM in there, and I don't even want a GM coach. I want a GM and a coach. That's how the Patriots are good. They had Scott Pioli at president and Bill Belichick at coach. Mm-hmm. And that is a good system. And if the Redskins do that, then maybe they'll get a good coach. But until they do that, they're just going to keep spinning their wheels.
And like I said last week, the best teams, the best organizations, you don't even know who the owner is.
Exactly.
So, hey, coming up, we'll talk a little bit about NCAA football. Some coaches on the hot seat there as well. One thing we're going to burn on, actually, which will translate to the NFL. Why, just because one person wants a coach to be fired, does it become breaking news?
It doesn't. I mean, it's just starting the rumor.
Hold your thought, because that's coming up next, and I have very strong feelings on that. Coming up next on the What We're Talking About podcast on livingonsports.com.